Just give me a second. Hello, all. Good evening. Thank you for joining our 8th day of core Java session. So we have covered multiple things till now, right? We are now familiar with how to write a Java program. What are the various steps that are involved? How do we compile? How do we run, etc., etc. What happens when a Java program is compiled? What happens when we run the Java program, etc., etc. And as in yesterday's class or the previous classes, we have even seen the linkages between the previous classes and that particular day's class. So today's class also will be similar. Today's session will be, mostly hands-on, or I can say fully hands-on. We will be writing more programs to understand the topic that I'll be introducing now. Let me open my class notes that I generally do. Let me open that using my notepad. Okay. So today we are into our class 8. Okay. So let me quickly go down and I can say we are into our class 8. So what is the topic that we are discussing about for today? We would be discussing about the following things. Let's see the agenda for our class 8. Let's see the agenda for class 8. What is the agenda? So today we will be speaking about class. Okay. You might ask, we have been speaking about class only since we started. Even our initial program is all about class. Writing a Hello World program or writing our first Java program, we have written that in the class. So now we would be discussing mainly about the three points. Let me quickly write them. So in our agenda for today's class, what we will be discussing about? We will be discussing about class, but the important catch here is the multiple classes, which means purpose of multiple classes. If you observe, guys, till now, we have only dealt with a single class. Whatever we do it in the same class. But in our projects or in any Java project, it is not the case, right? You have multiple classes, you have multiple interfaces, abstract classes, different annotations, enums, etc., etc. I'm not confusing you with all this jargon. I'm not confusing you with all this terminology, right? There are multiple classes that are involved in the project. Okay. So we will be discussing about, how do we use or what is the purpose of having multiple classes? And what else we will be discussing? We will be discussing about how to declare multiple classes. How to declare multiple classes. And then third and the last point that we'll be stressing in today's class is how to access one class members from another class. How do we access the members declared in one class? How do we access one class members, or I can say declared in one class? How do we access the members declared in one class from another class? So the stress is all about static members. So when I say members, there are two members. Okay. What is that? Members. When I say members, there are two members. What are those? One is variables and the other is methods. So we will be discussing about the purpose of having multiple classes today. We would be discussing how to declare the multiple classes today, and we would be discussing about how do we access the member declared in one class from another class. Okay. How do we declare, how do we access the members declared in one class from another class? Okay. So now by this time we are all aware of how to write a class. Okay, let's quickly write that. Okay, let's not waste the time. Directly, let's jump into the hands-on code. I want to just create a very simple class. What is that? Class. Maybe I want to select the language as Java. Okay. What do I want to name my classes? Maybe I'll give as Mercy, or I can say Mercy class. I want to name this as Mercy class 1. Okay. I want to name this as Mercy class 1. Okay. Let me quickly say public static void main. Okay. So void main. Here I should take string argument, string array of arguments. I'm opening my curly brace. I'm closing my curly brace. This is a very simple program that you should be having everything on your fingertips by now. I just want to print something. So I can say system dot out dot println. What do I want to print? I can say from my class 1. This is my class name. My class 1 main method. So I want to print this statement. I have to print this statement. What I did, I just have written a class. This is my class 1, and I've written a main method, and I'm just printing something from Mercy class 1 main method. That's it. Let me quickly run this. Okay. I just want to say copy, and I'll say save as, and saving .java. Okay. I've saved it like this. So what do we need to do next? We need to compile and run. So I have my command prompt open. Let me increase the font. I can say Java C class name dot.
Please
Java.
increase the font, Karthik.
Okay. Is this fine now? Let me go here.
Yeah.
Okay. Java C class name dot Java. So we don't have any compilation error because we don't have any error statements printing over here. I'll just run this Java and then my class. So here we did not do anything else, guys. We just have printed one single string statement. What did I print? I'm saying this is the class name and this is the main method. Okay, this program we have been discussing, I think, since the day one. But what is the addition that we are going to make in today's class? We are saying the multiple classes. How do we declare the multiple classes? Okay, I just want to say multiple classes. When I say multiple classes, I do something like this. I want to have one more class. Okay, I want to have one more class. Let's see how I can do that. What I did is from line number 7 to line number 1, I copied Control C, or I can say right click and copy. I can say right click and copy. What I want to do is I just have put an enter and I'm pasting this Control V, or I can say right click and then paste. Right here, my first class, and this is my second class. Okay, I just want to rename this. I want to rename this as Mercy class 2. Okay, I want to rename this as Mercy class 2. So here I'm just pasting it as Mercy class. That's it. Okay. So what I did, I copied, I have my first class. This is fine. Now what I did is in the same file, I have created one more class, which I'm calling as Mercy class 2. I just want to quickly compile this and see what happens, guys. Okay. And by the way, one important thing is, even though I have two classes over here, what is my file name? My file name is Mercy class 1. Okay. My file name is Mercy class 1. So this one, for our understanding, what I want to do is I want to delete everything that is there in my Mercy folder. Okay, I want to delete everything in my Mercy folder. Or instead of doing that, what I will do is I will try to say I will create a new folder. By the way, let me quickly go to that navigation. So here on my desktop, I have a folder called Mercy. Let me create right click new. I want to create a new folder. What is that folder? Multiple classes. I want to create a new folder called multiple classes. Let me open this. Now, the program that I have written, I want to save it as file, save as. Where do I want to save? I want to save inside this new folder that I have written. Okay, this is multiple classes and my class one dot Java. So I want to save it like this. Now let me quickly go to that folder and see. I have only one dot class file, which is Mercy class file. Okay, which is Mercy class file. Let me try to compile this. Java C. What is my class name? This is Mercy class one. Copy Java C Mercy class name, and I say dot Java. So let's see what happens when I do this. You see this? I don't have any compilation problem. Now let's quickly go to the same folder. Let's quickly go to the same folder. Oh, sorry guys. So here I have to even change my desktop, the path. Let me close this and open in the proper path again. I am pasting it over here and say CMD. So when I do this, I have new command prompt open. I have increased the font to maximum. I can say Java C and my class name dot Java. So when I do this, I say enter. So you see, there is no problem whatsoever for me. Let me quickly go to that folder and see you and show you what magic happens. As you can see this, I have one Java file, but I have two class files. I have one Java file, but I have two class files. Why do I have two class files? Why do I have two class files? The reason is I have two classes that are declared in my single.java file. I have two classes that are declared in my single.java file. So let me quickly write down a few points. Okay, let me quickly write down a few points. Let me quickly write down a few points. What is my first point? First point is one, or I can say a Java file, or I can say .java file can have multiple classes. Explode in it. This is what we have seen. This is the point. Okay. One more important point even before this. Okay. One more important point even before this is, or I can write it in some different fashion, which is I can say one. This is my second point, by the way. What is my first point? My first point is class can be a part of a .java file. Okay, so you can see this. My rule says class can be a part of a .java file. Let's see. This is my class, and this is my class. What is it a part of? It is a part of a .java file. What is that .java file? This is Mercy class one .java. This is what my rule is saying. Let me quickly type a few little bit more rules. Okay, little bit more rules. So I can say something like this. Enum can be a part of .java file. Enum can be a part of .java file. If you do not understand enum, do not bother. We have a separate, session only for enum, discussing about enum. But I want to stress one thing, that we can have something called enum, which can be a part of .java file. What is my next point? What is my next point? Let me copy this line for you. What is my next point? We can have not enum, but we can have one more called interface. Interface can also be a part of .java file. Interface can also be a part of .java file. If you do not understand what is an interface, by the way, no problem, because we have a dedicated session to understand what is an interface, which will be in our upcoming classes. Do not bother if you do not understand what is an interface, but only think that interface can also be a part of .java file. So, and then what else can be a part of .java file? What else can be a part of .java file? There is something called abstract class. Abstract class can be a part of .java file. Abstract class can be a part of .java file. Right? What is an abstract class? Again, we have a separate dedicated session only to understand an abstract class. Okay, so don't get bothered, but you just remember that an abstract class can be a part of .java file. So what else can be a part of .java file? I want to stress that annotation can be a part of .java file, right? Annotation can also be a part of .java file. And here one important note is, I want to write this maybe after we are completed with our hands-on session or hands-on exercises now. But here, one important point is point number two. Point number two is applicable for all. I mean, a .java file can have multiple classes declared in it, right? It can have multiple enums, it can have multiple interfaces, or maybe let's not even put this one. Let's not confuse. It's only like we can have multiple classes in a particular .java file, because there are a few other rules, guys, which I'd be coming, in the later sessions. Let's not get confused. So it's like you just only understand that one .class file, one .java file can have a class. It can have an enum, it can have an interface, it can have an abstract class, it can have an annotation. Let's quickly go and try to prove our point. Okay, let's try to prove our point. Now, what I'll do is I want to create a new thing. So what is that? I'll say something like class. I'll say class, mercy class. I want to say mercy class. Okay. Let me select the language as Java. Okay. I want to say mercy class. I just opened the curly brace, close the curly brace. I did not write anything over here, guys. By the way, I did not do anything over here. I did not write anything over here. Now, let me say interface. What is the next one that we have written? What is the next thing that we have written? We can have enum. We can have enum. Enum C mercy enum. Okay. I have a mercy enum that I have declared. What is the next one? An interface. Okay. Let's try to quickly see this. I'm copying this and I'm pasting it over here. I can say interface. Interface. I just want to make it as interface. Mercy interface. Okay. What else? What else? It is an abstract class. Okay. Let me try to put it over here. What is this? Mercy. Before, what is the syntax? STRACT abstract class mercy abstract class. Okay. I've written something like mercy abstract class. For one last thing, what is the other one? Annotation can also be a part of .java file. So for that, what I want to do is interface, interface, interface. I can say mercy annotation, and I want to open my curly brace and I want to close my curly brace. Guys, what I did, I just have written a class. I've written an enum. I've written an interface. I've written an abstract class. I've written a mercy annotation. Okay, I've written all this. Let's try to compile this. Let's see what happens. I say I copy this, say file, save as. I want to save it like this. Mercy class, only mercy class dot Java. Let me quickly go to my folder and maybe I would like to delete all this just to avoid the confusion. I want to delete all this just to avoid the confusion. Okay, I don't have any files right now. Let me save it once more. Okay. So it says, let me not do this by the way. Okay. So let me save this file, copy file, save as, save as, my mercy class. Okay, let me not do it in this way. I'm just closing this. I don't want to save it over here. Let me check if everything is deleted over here. Let me delete all so that we'll not have any confusion. Now I pasted my whatever I have written in my previous editor. So I'm selecting the language as Java. Let me increase the font. Okay, now I want to see this. I say copy my class name. I make sure that there is nothing over here in this D drive. So let me go over here, file, save as. Okay, file, save as Mercy. We have multiple classes, one more folder. So here I'm pasting it as .java file. So when I do this, I have a .java file that should be present over here in this multiple classes. So at 2047, this is the only file. Now it is 2047, right? Now, let's quickly go try to compile. So let's quickly go and try to compile Java C class name. Let me copy the class name, by the way. Copy the class name, right click, .java. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Maybe it is showing me some syntax error. It is showing me some syntax error. Maybe I will just see what is the correction that needs to be written. INTE. Oh, sorry, it was a spelling mistake. INTERFACE. INTERFACE. I missed an R over here, guys. Oh, yeah. I missed an R over here. So that is why it is giving me some problem. I made the modification. Let me save this. Let me try to run this once more. So let me try to run this once more. I'm clearing my screen. Java C. What is my class name? My class name is Mercy class copy. I say .java. When I do this, you see this, there's no compilation problem. There is no compilation problem. By the way, we did not write any logic over here. We don't even have a single system.out.println statement. Also, we don't have at least a system.out.println statement also in the .java file. Okay. Now let's see what magic had happened in the folder, by the way. Let's see what magic had happened in the folder. Guys, you can see this. I have a single Java file, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dot class files that got generated. What are those dot class files corresponding to? Those are corresponding to an abstract class, an annotation, a class, an enum, and an interface. All right. So there are 5 dot class files and only a single dot Java file. I just wanted to prove a point, or I just wanted to stress on a particular thing, saying that we can have multiple combinations of the first 6 points that I have. The first, one except the second, all the other points that I have discussed. I just wanted to make or prove that to you guys. One single Java file can contain any of these, and for each a dot class file will be generated. For each a dot class file will be generated. So let me quickly write it down over here. Okay. My note is very important. Note is individual dot class file will be created for each of the above. I can say, maybe I will just remove my, yeah, for each of the above. Each of the above, when I say it can be a class or an enum or an interface, an abstract class, and an annotation. Okay, just to prove one more point, let me have one more over here. This is class, my Mercy class. Right? So what I want to do is I want to take one more class. I want to take one more class. I copied this and I'm pasting it. Okay. Mercy class new. Okay, I just have one more class, which is Mercy class new. I want to quickly say this, Control S. Okay, let me clear. Okay, let me delete everything in my folder. Let me delete except my .java file. I want to delete everything. Right, I only have my .java file right now. I have already saved it. Let me compile this now. Java C. What is my class name? My class name is Mercy class. I say I copy this and I'm pasting this .java. Guys, if you see, there is no problem whatsoever. And if I go to my folder, actually, there is one more that got generated, which is Mercy class view. I just want to stress out on a particular point saying, I just want to stress out on a particular point saying we can have multiple combinations of all these in a particular Java file. But what are the rules and regulations? What is a abstract class? What is an interface? What is an enum? All these things, guys, we will be learning point by point in our upcoming classes. There are very famous interview questions like what is the difference between an interface and an abstract class, right? Why do we need an abstract class when we already have a interface? You know, can enum be a singleton design pattern oriented class? Or can a public class contain multiple classes in it? All these are interview questions, guys. This we will be, taking the logical route of actually understanding. It's not that this is the interview question, this is the answer that we need to do. It's not like that. Okay, we'll be taking the logical route to find the answers to whatever questions that might come in our upcoming interviews. Okay, so with this, let me just go to my notes. Okay, let me just go to my notes. I just want to add a few things. I just want to add a few things over here. This point has been discussed already in our previous classes. This point has been discussed already in our previous classes. But before I write something over here, I want to maybe do it programmatically. I want to do it programmatically. So what I am doing is I have a class called Mercy and I have a class called Mercy class 2. Let me quickly remove everything else. Let me quickly remove everything else except my first two classes. Except my first two classes. Okay. So I can say I want to name this as Mercy class 1. I want to name the other one as Mercy class 2. Okay. Now I have two classes by the way. One is Mercy class 1 and the other is Mercy class 2. Okay. So let me quickly save this. I say copy, file, save as, save as. I want to do Mercy class 1 dot Java. I saved it. Okay. So I saved this. Now let me quickly write this. Public static void main. Okay. So what is this? String array of arguments. String array of arguments. I'm opening my curly brace and I'm closing my curly brace. Okay. So what do I want to print? I want to print system dot out dot println. I want to print something like this. I want to print something like this. What is this? I say from Mercy class 1 main method. Main method. From Mercy class 1 main method. Let me quickly copy the same thing in my next class. Let me quickly copy the same thing in my next class. But here the only thing that I want to do is Mercy class 2 main method. Mercy class 2 main method. Okay. I'm saving this. I'm saving this. Let's quickly try to run this. Okay. I'll say Java C. What is my class name by the way? My class name is Mercy class. I say copy. And here I can say .java. When I do this, I will be having two .class files. What are those? By the way, let me remove all so that it will not cause any confusion for us. It is Mercy class 1 and Mercy class 2. Except these two files. Let's delete everything. Okay. So this is Mercy class 1 and we have something called Mercy class 2. .java file. We have a .java file except this Mercy class 1. Let's remove everything. Let's remove everything. I deleted everything except the Mercy class. Let me quickly compile this constant. I'll say clear Java C Mercy class 1 .java. When I do this, I go to my folder. I will see two .class files that got generated because my .java file contains two .class files. One is Mercy class 1 and the other is Mercy class 2. Now let's see if I want to run. It is Java, then the class name. When I say this, I'm running my .class file individually. I'm running my .class file individually. Let's see what happens. When I do this, it says from Mercy class 1 main method. This is getting printed from this particular point for line number 5. Okay, line number 5. Now, if I want to print this one, what do I need to do? I have a separate dot class file for Mercy class 2, right? I need to use that class to print my desired output. Okay, how do I do it? Java, then class name. What is my class name here, by the way? It is Mercy class 2. Let me say enter. Oh, sorry, I used this Java 2 times. It is Java. Sorry, I'm using the same thing again. I'll say Java Mercy class 2. When I do this, I can see this is coming from Mercy class 2. When I say Java Mercy class 1, I'm just copying this. I'll say this. If I say Mercy class 1, then I can see that it is coming from class 1 main method. This is coming from class 2 main method. So important point to be noted is we need to use the dot class file specifically if we need the corresponding output. Let me write it down here. We need to use corresponding dot class file to run. Okay, we need to use the corresponding we need to, or I can say specific dot class file to run and get desired get the class executed. If we need to execute a particular class, then we have to use that specific dot class file to get the desired output. Now let's go and try to write a very important point. But to write this, before I write this, I want to write or I want to extend my program a little bit. I want to extend my program a little bit. What is that? I want to declare a static method. So I can say something like this, static. Yesterday we have seen, not just yesterday. Yesterday we have seen about static initialization block, and the day before yesterday we have seen about static members, which is static variable and uh, static methods. And yesterday we have seen static block, static initialization block. So do not get confused. Right? This is a static keyword, and I want to declare a variable. I can say it to be an integer variable, and I'm calling it as count. And I'm calling it as count. Okay, let me call it as count. Okay, so I will have similar variable, over. Okay, so maybe I want to call this as value. Okay, now I have two variables. One is static, both are static variables, by the way. One is corresponding to my class 1, Mercy class 1, which is having count, and the second is corresponding to Mercy class 2, and it is having something called value. Okay, so what do I want to do? I want to quickly print. I want to quickly print. I want to quickly print count. I want to quickly print count equal to. So what do I want to do? I want to print this. So I want to print this thing. By the way, what we did, we have directly accessed. We have directly accessed the static variable, or I can say a static member. We have directly accessed a static member. Now, if you remember in our previous classes, we had written notes on how do we access static members. Okay, so let me write it down again. How to access static members. Okay, so we have 2 points. We have 2 points. One is directly using I can say static number underscore member within the same class. Same class. So this is one way of directly accessing it. What is the other way? The other way is using class name dot static static member from other class. Right? We will see the programmatic example for this one, by the way. So these two rules they have already seen in our previous class. These two rules they have already seen in the previous class. Using point number A, we are writing this program. What I did, there is a static member. The static member can be, as I previously told you in our notes, a static member can be a variable or a member of a class can be a variable or a method. Here I have a static member which is count, which is nothing but a variable that I have declared on line number 3. This one I'm directly using, directly accessing using the member name, or I can say the variable name. Let me quickly do the same thing over here also. Copying this and copying this. And I'm saying I want to print this. Okay, so we have actually even seen how do we initialize the static variables also. I want to initialize the second value as 10. Okay, I want to initialize the value as 10. Let me quickly compile this and see what is the output. Okay, so I can say Java C and come over here. Let me copy this and compile this .java. So when I do this, I don't have any compilation error. Let me quickly run this Java my class. When I do this, here you can see from Mercy class main method, and we have the count equal to 0. Why is the count 0? Because the initial value of an integer can be 0. If you remember in the static variables class, we have seen the initial value, the default value for an integer is count. Okay, now let's quickly try to run this Mercy class 2. Let's quickly try to run this Mercy class Java Mercy class 2. When I do this, when oh sorry, it should be Mercy class 2. Okay, let me, it was a spelling mistake. Let me try to say Mercy class 1. This is the output that we got. Now I want to say Java Mercy class 2. Okay, this is Mercy class 2. When I do this over here, you can see it is Mercy class 2 main method and the value is 10. Why is the value 10, guys? The value is 10 because we have initialized the value to be 10. We had a few rules that we had spoken about, at what point or when the class loading happens, at what point the static value will get initialized, etc., etc. So using that concept only, what we did is we tried to print over here. Here, since we did not initialize, it is 0. Here, since we initialized, it is having a particular value that is called as 10. Right here, we are very clear until this point. So what I did is, how do we access the static members? Directly using the static member, or using this one in the same class. Now let me try to prove the point number 2. So till now, in the same class, we had static members. It can be methods or it can be variables. We accessed in the same class. Okay, we accessed in the same class. Maybe I will open a old a class. If you can see this, we have different things. The variable 24, everything was written in the same class. Nothing was written outside this class. But in today's class, we are trying to see there are two classes. One is Mercy class 1 and the other is Mercy class 2. I want to access Mercy class 2 static member in Mercy class 1, and I want to access Mercy class 1 static member in Mercy class 2. So how do I do it? I'm copying this line number 7 and I'm pasting it over here. Okay, I'm pasting it over here. I want to print value. But what is value? Value is from Mercy class 2. So can I do something like this? My rule says I cannot do. What is my rule, by the way? My rule is using class name dot static member from a different class. Now we are trying to access different class member, right? So what is my syntax? It should be class name dot static member. So I will go here and I will say, what is my class name? Mercy class 2. I'll say copy and I want to paste it and say dot. Okay. So Here, what I'm doing is I'm trying to access the value, which is a static member in a different class, and I'm using it with the syntax that I have already written. Okay. Now let's do the same thing. Let's do the same thing for the cloud. Let's do the same thing for the cloud. I'm copying this line, copying this line. I cannot do it just like this. Why? Because count is belonging to my class one. So when I follow my syntax, okay, I will say that class name dot okay, class name dot. Let's try to see if we are able to get this or not. Let's try to see if we are able to get this or not. What I'm doing this, I'm saying Java C. What is my class name? My class name is Mercy class one. Copy, pasting this for Java. When I do this, I don't have any compilation problem whatsoever. I don't have any compilation problem whatsoever. Now let's try to quickly run this Java and then class. When I say enter, here it says Mercy class one main count equal to 0 and the value equal to 10. Let me quickly go to my program. Mercy class one main. This is what we already have seen. Count equal to 0. This is a direct call. And here value is Mercy class 2 dot value. Mercy class 2 dot value is 10. The same thing that we are printing over here. So one thing that I want to prove over here is we are calling from Mercy class 1 main method, but value is a static member belonging to a different class. But that value also we are able to access in our Mercy class one. How are we able to access? We are able to access by using this syntax. What is the syntax? Class name dot static member. Okay. Same thing. We already have the same thing in the Mercy class 2 also. Let's quickly try to say Java Mercy class. When I do this, so here you can see it is calling the Mercy class 2 main method. The value is 10 and the count is 0. Where is this count, by the way? The count is a static member belonging to Mercy class 1. But we are able to access that in Mercy class 2 using the class name, right? Using the class name. Now program, in this program, we are able to see how we are able to access a different class static variable. A different class static variable. What is my notes saying? My notes is saying that I can have a static member called. What are various static members? There are two static members. One is a variable and the other is a method. One is a variable and the other is a method. Let me quickly go and try to modify my program to see that if I can actually call the static methods also. Okay, so I want to introduce a new method over here. I want to introduce a new method over here, and I want to call it as static. I want to call it as void, static void. I can say process, or I can say I want to return int process count. I want to write a method called process count. I want to open my method and I want to close my variables. So what is this, guys? This is the process. Process count is the method. I have an open parenthesis and then close parenthesis. So here, what I want to do is I want to print something like this. System dot out dot println. What do I want to print? I want to print from process count of what is this? This is of Mercy class 1. Of Mercy class 1. Right? This is from Mercy class 1 and this is from process count. We are inside this process count. Similarly, I want to write one more static method, maybe in my different class. I want to name the static method as I can say get value. I just name it as get value. So I'm just copying this. I want to paste it over here and I can say Mercy class. Okay. I want to say Mercy class. So what did I do? I have introduced a new static method. I have introduced a new static method. One static method in Mercy class 1 and a different static method in Mercy class 2. Do not get confused, guys. We are just trying to experiment in the same class. We are trying to add a little bit more complexity so that we can learn something step by step, step by step, step by step, step by step. What we did, we have added two new methods. Okay. So what do I want to do is, what do I want to do is, I want to, I want to, I want to maybe do something like this. From my Mercy class 1, I want to access Mercy class 2's static method. Okay, Mercy class 2's static method. So what do I do? What do I do? I do something like this. What is my class name? Mercy class 2 copy dot. I want to access this get value method. I copied this and I'm pasting it over here and I just say this. What I did in my Mercy class 1 main method, I have added Mercy class 2 and I'm calling a static method that I have described or I have added just now. I have added just. Let's do the same thing over here also. Let's do the same thing over here also. I have added process count method, right? I have added process count method, right? So what do I want to do? I want to call my process count method. I want to call my process count method. I copied my process count method. So let me copy my process count method. Double click, copy, and I'm saying paste. And I'll say close. Very nice. Guys, we have introduced two new static members. Okay, one is process count and the other is get value. I want to ask you one thing. I think most of you will already be having a pen and paper with you. Maybe I'll give you a quick 1 minute. Just scan through this program. If I run Mercy class 1, what might be the output that I get? If I run Mercy class 1, what might be the output that I get? You should be having a pen and paper with you. Write it quickly, write it. Try to quickly write it. I'll give you a minute, guys. Try to quickly write it. You may be wrong, no problem. Nobody's saying anything to you. Nobody's coming to you and checking what did you write, and nobody's awarding you any marks. But just to test out your knowledge, try to write the output when I run Mercy class 1. When I run Mercy class 1. Fifteen more seconds. Hope you're writing all your answers. 5 more seconds. Yeah. Now let's try to find out. Let's try to find out the same by running this. I'll say copy, right click, copy, and I'm saving this by the way. I saved this. I saved this. I'm copying my class name. Okay. So here we go. I want to clear all my commands. I will say Java C classname.java. When I say Java C classname.java, what should happen? Compilation should be successful. Missing a return statement. Just give me a second. On line number 7, we are missing something. Let's see what is this line number 7. Okay. So it is saying I need to return something. Let's say I want to return 10. I do not want to do anything over here. And also I want to return 5. Just to please the compiler, we have added these two statements. Case what it is saying, I have an int statement and I need to return something. I return something. Here also I have an int which is a return type. I need to return something. So I return something. And by the way, the people who have guessed that there is a compilation error, very good, very nice. But For the people who have not, that's fine. So let's say we have these two written statements also. Now you can guess the output. Maybe if you have already written something, then let's try to validate that. Okay, let me clear out that. Let me clear. So it is Java C class name dot Java. Let's see what happens now. By the way, cannot file simple my class 2 dot process count. What is this? Yes, my class 2 dot process count. My class 2. Where is that? Where is that? It says it is on Java line number 30. Java line number 30. It is saying I have a my class 2. Okay. So this is a problem, guys. I'm trying to do something like using my class 2, I'm calling process count. But if that is not the case, I should say my class 1 dot process. And again, for the people who have guessed that this is a compilation error, very nice. You are properly following the class. You are properly following the syntaxes. You're properly understanding everything. Okay. You're properly understanding everything. Let's give it one more try. Let's give it one more try. You can guess the output again. You can guess the output again. So what I did, I corrected one more. My compilation is saying there is some problem on line number 30. Go and correct it. I came to my line number 30. Yes, I corrected it. Let's see what happens. So what I say, Java C. I go to my class file, copy class name dot Java. So now I don't have any compilation problem. I don't have any compilation problem. And for the people who are guessed that there will be a compilation problem even in this, then maybe you need to cross check. Okay, there's no compilation problem because our program is written with all the correctness. Okay, now let's try to run this thing. Let's try to run this. What is this? Java, and then there's the class. So when I do this, let's say enter. And for the people who have written the outputs, we can cross check. So here it is saying this is from my class 1 main method. The count is 0, the value is 10, and from get value of Mercy class 2. So it is a no-brainer, guys. It is just a simple call. Okay, it is just a simple call. I have a class name. Okay, I have a main method. I'm printing these three, and I'm calling my class 2 dot get value, and my get value is printing something over here. That's it. Okay. As I told you, this is a no-brainer. No need to even think logically on this. This is a straightforward one. Let's try to do the same thing for our next one also. Let's try to do the same thing for our next one also. What is that? Java. We have a different class here, right? What is my different class? Copy. And that's it. You can see this is from Mercy class to main method. The value is 10, count is 0, and the process comes from Mercy class. So the important point that I want to stress by doing all these exercises, we have class members. Members are of two types. One is a variable and then a method. So here what I did, from a class called Mercy class 1, I have a local variable, or I can say a static variable belonging to Mercy class 1, that is count. And I have two other things, get value and the value. These two are the static members from a different class. These two I'm able to print by using this syntax. By using this syntax, class name dot static method. So by using this syntax, I'm able to call and I'm able to see that I am able to print my desired output. I'm able to print my desired output. Guys, I just want to quickly revise whatever we have learned in today's class. I want to quickly revise whatever we have learned in today's class. Okay, so that we will be clear of whatever we have done as part of today's exercises. What we did, or I wanted to stress out my point number 1 in my agenda towards the end of the class, because what is the purpose of having multiple classes? Okay, let me quickly tell you what is the purpose of having multiple classes. What is the purpose of having multiple classes? A class is a combination of variables and methods. We can call them as data members and member functions. Let's say I have a class. Let's say I have a class called Mercy1. I have a class called Mercy Class 1. And I have a class called Mercy Class 2. My Mercy Class 1 is responsible for counting something and processing that count. Okay. I have all the logic of counting something and processing my count, etc., in my class. Right. Let's say I have one more logic. What is that logic? It is getting some value, whatsoever is the value. Okay, I'm not specific that this is this particular value. Let's say I have a special logic of getting some value, maybe from database or from some, RESTful web service that got exposed over the internet, etc. So I just want to get that value. All this getting logic is written in a different class. Now, if I combine or club both of them, then it will not look good, or people may not directly or clearly understand it. So we want to differentiate the functionality into different modules. So that logical separation we can be doing in different classes. Java is not giving you any hurdle, or Java is not saying, hey, you have to use only 10 classes in your project. Or Java is not telling you, by the way, you can use only 5 interfaces and 3 abstract classes. Nothing like that. Java is saying use as many as you can. So when Java is saying that, we have to do it in a standardized way. What is the standardized way saying? In a particular class, it should be responsible for doing a particular task only. So when you have a particular task dealing with that, you can put all those into your particular into that class only as a logical separation. So class is something that can give you, like for example, if I can have a process class, then you can put all the processing logic in that particular class only. Just by seeing that class, I can understand, oh, okay, there is something related to process in this class. So in that way, what I wanted to say is we can have multiple classes. Each class can have its own functionality. If you remember, method was also having something similar. I have given you an example of a cafe coffee day or a coffee shop, where the coffee shop we called it as class. Every coffee machine we call it as method. Every button that was there on the coffee machine, we call it as method name. And the coffee that we get, we call it as a return type. If we are pressing on cappuccino, it takes milk, it takes sugar, or it takes some coffee beans. It mixes and gives you the output. That we are calling it as parameters, etc. So all these things Java is giving you because Java wants you to do things in a standardized way. By the way, guys, there are so many other things which is very vast. There are something called design principles, design patterns, etc., which I do not want to stress, because first we should know how to walk before we run, right? Before we even walk, we will crawl, right? So we are in that particular state. But if you properly learn how to walk, then you can run very fast. Okay. So, but if you do not know how to walk itself, then you should not aim for running. So here we are basically concentrating on learning different concepts in Java. And as part of that, we have learned about multiple classes today. So this is the purpose of using multiple classes. And then we have learned about declaring multiple classes today. And we have even seen how to access one class members using a different class members. When I say this, these are static members. Okay. When I say members, there are two members. One is a variable, and then it is a method. Now, very important thing that I need to even tell you is a class can be a part of .java file. The same thing that we have already seen. This is a .java file. It can have a class. There are two classes in our example. Not just class, but we can have an enum, interface, abstract class, or an annotation. So every annotation, abstract class, enum, or an interface will have a corresponding .class file generated when we compile that particular Java file. The same thing that I have written over here, individual .class file will be created for each of the above. So the last two things which we have played around in the programs, what are those? We need to use a specific .class file to run and execute a particular class, right? What is that? When I execute my class 2, then whatever is there inside this only will be executed, and the JVM calls the main method of my class 2. Okay. And then if I execute my class 1, then the JVM calls the main method of my class 1. So what is my last point? My last point was, this is something that we have already discussed in our previous classes, but maybe you should have understood this in a lot better way. what is that? We can directly call the static members in the same class, or we can call using the class name dot static member from a different class. Right. One more thing is, this I have already stressed out in the previous class. The point number A, directly using static member within the same class, or we can do this also using class name from. We can do this also. We have even seen the sample programs also for this one. We have even seen the sample programs for this one, which means in the same class, we can either directly call using the static member, or we can call by class name dot static member. But from a different class, we should for sure use class name dot static member. So with this, guys, we are able to conclude, or we are able to at least understand how we can use multiple classes and how we can access the members of one class from a different class. This is the part one. We have a separate other part also, which is a continuation for this one, which we'll be seeing in detail in our tomorrow's class, which we'll be seeing in tomorrow's class. Okay. Just give me a second, guys. So what I want to say is, just give me a second, guys. I want to get the session recording to be stopped. I'm getting the session recording to be stopped, guys. Just give me a second. So yes, guys, we have completed today's session. Hope you have understood. And as we have stressed in our previous lectures, your practice is so very important. Only when you practice, you can grasp